Okay, in 1.3b, we are going to be using our graphing calculators. So again, if you have that app on your phone, get that. And then also the unit circle. So if you have your yellow unit circle, we're going to need that in a second. I'm going to remind you how to calculate on your calculator sine, cosine, tangent. Remember, the most important thing is to check your mode. So underneath your mode, you want to be, for this first one at least, in degrees because I see the degree sign. Now, if I'm asking you to find the sine of 18.6 degrees, we hit just sine 18.6. I'm in degree mode. If we round 4 decimal places, I have 0.31895 or 6. 896. Cosine of 21 degrees and 30 minutes. Cosine of 21. Remember, underneath the blue key is your angle key. So second angle, and we get a degree symbol. And then 30, and I go back to that angle key again, and I pull up the minute symbol this time. And when I hit enter, I get 0.9304. When it got a little trickier was when we did things like cosecant, secant, cotangent, because those are not on our calculators. All we see on our calculators are sine, cosine, and tangent. So remember, the cosecant is the same as the reciprocal of sine. Now, be careful. Do you see a degree symbol here? I don't. So this one is also tricky because it is in radians. So I have to go back to my mode. I need to click on radians, and 1 over the sine of 1 gives me 1.188. What's tricky about number 4? Well, first of all, I have to go back to degree mode, but notice I'm missing minutes. So when I enter this one into my calculator, it's like saying the sine of 18 degrees, 0 minutes and 32 seconds. So I have the sine of 18 underneath my angle is my degrees, 0 minutes underneath my angle is my minutes, and 18, remember seconds is way down here in this green part for some reason. And when I do that, I get 0.3091. So I know I'm rushing through this right now, but I would highly suggest that you try these on your own. Cotangent is the same as 1 over the tangent of negative 77 degrees and 16 minutes. Go ahead and try entering that one on your calculator by yourself. And if you do that correctly, negative 0.22597 would be the correct part on that. Okay? Now, here's the deal. We might not always be using a calculator, okay? Or if we are using a calculator, maybe we need to find the angle of something. And that's what this is going to be talking about today. I'm asking you to find theta when sine equals 0.5. So we have to find the angle. Well, if you think about it on your unit circle, when is sine, remember sine is your y value, when does y equal 1/2? That's basically what the question is asking. Well, sine is 1/2 here, and sine is 1/2 over here. So how do I know which of the two angles to use? Is my answer 30 degrees or is it 150 degrees? Well, in this particular unit, we are only going to talk about the values of theta being between 0 degrees and 90 degrees, or 0 pi and half a pi. So if that's the case, the only answer that I'm going to use is 100, or the 30 degrees. Now, what if it's not on my unit circle? What if I'm not able to figure that out? That's where these keys come in above the sine, above the cosine, and above the tangent. That sine to the -1 is saying the inverse of sine. The cosine is the of -1 is the inverse of cosine. That's the key you use when you want to find the angle. So when you're missing an angle, you are going to be using these keys to find theta. All this other time, we've had the angle. We've had theta. So we've used just the plain old sine, cosine, and tangent. So now let's do this again. Knowing what the answer should be, let's do it with our calculator. So again, I'm going to check my mode. I'm in degree mode, and I'm going to do the inverse sine of 1/2. And notice my answer is 30 degrees. Okay? So let's try another one. Find the cosecant of theta when it equals 2. Well, first of all, let's change this into sine, cosine, or tangent. Cosecant is sine's reciprocal. So what is the reciprocal of 2 but 1/2? Now I can find that on my calculator. Inverse sine, because I'm trying to find the angle of 1/2, or 0.5. And again, we're at 30 degrees. Now, what if I asked you to find it in radians also? Well, there's a great trick you can do. While this is on your screen, you can go to Mode. Now you can highlight radians, clear out of that screen and hit it one more time, and this will give you the answer in radians, 0.524. So you can go back and forth between your screens. All right, you on your own try to find when is the cosecant of theta equal to 7? Again, if you check your mode, I'm going to go back to degrees because that makes the most sense to me. Inverse cosine of 7, and I get an error. How come I get an error? Well, remember on your unit circle, we're looking for when x is 7. Is x ever 7 on your unit circle? The largest it ever gets to be is 1, or even the square root of 3/2 is only equal to 0.87. So this is not possible. Sine and cosine can never, I should say undefined. It's no solution. It can never happen because the largest our radius ever is 1. So there is nothing bigger than 1. Okay, so I tricked you on that one. Sorry. Okay, this one I promise you can do. So go ahead and tell me when the tangent of theta equals 0.9808. So again, it's like we're trying to get theta all by itself. So what is the inverse of tangent? The tangent inverse. So when we hit the inverse of tangent on our calculator, 0.9808, hopefully you ended up with 44.4 degrees. And then if you switch mode and do radians, you get 0.7757. So you're learning how to use your calculator backwards now by finding the inverse of that. Okay? All right, let me give you one more to try on your own. When is theta equal to 0.777 of sine, and when is theta equal to 6.6175 for the cotangents. Go ahead and try those on your own. And hopefully you got 51 degrees. And if I change my mode and go to radians and hit enter again, I get 0.891 radians. When is cotangent 6.617? Well, I know earlier I said that anything over 1 can't happen, but that's for sine and cosine. Cotangent and tangent can. So again, if I do, let's see, cotangent is the same as 1 over tangent. So tangent of theta is the same as 1 over 6.6175. That's how you're going to enter it into your calculator. The inverse tangent of 1 over 6.6175. And you should get 8.6 degrees. And if I change my mode to radians and hit enter again, I get 0.14998. All right, hopefully you'll get used to using your calculator. Again, the most important thing is when you know theta, you use the sine key. When you do not know theta, you are using the inverse sine key. So when you need to know the angle, this is the key you need to use. When you know the angle, you use the regular key. Okay? All right, good luck with the homework.